Good morning, grade 7s. Happy Monday. You've had some Reader's Workshop time this morning, and I'm going to just take you through some things that I'm expecting you to do in Moodle over the next couple periods and into tomorrow's classes. And essentially what we're going to look at is what is it the British are going to do with this large French population along the St. Lawrence River that they are now in control of since they defeated the French in the 7 Years' War. So we're going to recap a couple things that we did just at the end of last week to refresh your memory. I'm going to show you where our video is that I'd like you as a group to watch, and I've sent a link to the video to Mr. Keller, but you can also find it here in Moodle. And thirdly, I'm going to show you some of the writing pieces and reflection pieces that you expect to do both in your notebooks and in Moodle. Okay? So, firstly, this is what we were looking at last week. At the end of the 7 Years' War, the British issue a royal proclamation. And what that proclamation does is it says exactly what the British governors who are sent to the province of Quebec, so the British are sending a government over to a place called Quebec now that they've created, how they are going to rule that place. Okay? And the goal of all of the rules and laws put in that royal proclamation are to assimilate the French. They're not going to deport them. They are going to try and just wipe out their culture by surrounding them with British settlers. They make the province of Quebec quite small compared to what New France was. You can see here's where New France used to be. This is all First Nations territory, and they call that Indian territory in the proclamation. And they cut off the Montreal fur trade, and they're desperately trying to attract British citizens to come and live in this territory, and they enforce English language laws, English civil law, and they're trying to just basically wipe out the French culture. The thing is, it doesn't work. The British, as you'll see in the video, the British governors, Murray and Carleton, they do not enforce what they're supposed to, mostly because they have a great respect for the peaceful French inhabitants of the region. So after 10 years of really nothing happening, even though they make these rules, they're never enforced, the British create another government act. It's called the Quebec Act. And its goal is to get French loyalty. So one of the things here is their colonies are starting to rebel. These are British colonies down here that becomes the United States of America. The British know it, and so one of the things they are going to need is First Nations and French support in a war with their own people. And so they expand Quebec. You can see here the territory is much larger than it is over here. And they protect French language rights and French civil law. And the people of Quebec now have rights that are actually greater than the British citizens in their own colonies like Nova Scotia and these 13 colonies here. And so this outrages the 13 colonies even more, and it's going to lead to the American Revolution, which you'll get a bit of an introduction to in the video as well. So what you're going to do is I'm going to get your thoughts on this. Why was this Quebec Act successful? And really, it's responsible for Quebec's place in our country today. So to get a better look at this, we're going to go into Moodle, or Mr. Keller's going to load up the video from the link that I sent to him. Either way, that works fine. But I want to show you where it is. Remember all of these. I'm just going to switch over to the student view here so it looks exactly as you'll see it. In our Humanities 7 tab, you can click on Interactivities and Assignments in Unit 3, and in there are the video resources. So you've been reading about, this is the reading that you're going to be assigned today, pages 163 to 167. You've read last week already 163, which talked about the Royal Proclamation. Pages 164, 165, and beyond talk about the Quebec Act. Now way down here at the bottom, so we watched these ones last week, way down here at the bottom. Okay, so way down here at the bottom is the video that I'd like you to watch that looks at the Quebec Act and the Royal Proclamation, and then into the American Revolution section. Also, you can read about the Quebec Act outside of your textbook by clicking here on the Quebec Act in Wikipedia. It's got some good information in there as well. So that's where the video resources are sitting. You're also going to get some handouts, and those are sitting in here if you need extras. You are going to get some notes today that Mr. Keller will have photocopied on the Quebec Act. Those are here, and I'd like you to put these into your notebooks, please. And then secondly, you are going to get a Venn diagram that asks you to compare. So this is where your textbook information is going to be important, and maybe recapping that video and looking at the information in Wikipedia. But how do the Quebec Act and the Royal Proclamation differ, and how are they similar? So those are a couple of pieces for your notebook that I'll be expecting to see when I get back. Still in Moodle, you will also have a essential question. This is going to show up, this Quebec Act piece is going to show up on the midterm exam, where you compare these two attempts by the British government to do different things with the population. Because really, at the end of the day, this Quebec French population helps Canada remain in British hands and not in Americans' hands. So, you know, many people, historians would look and say this is one of the reasons that the United States didn't take over the entire continent, and thus led the way for Canada to become a country. So you're going to do a little bit of writing around that in the essential questions unit, and that will be question 5 in there today. And it's not posted there. I'm just going to make it visible here as soon as I'm done giving you these instructions. So that's where we'll be working over the next couple of days. Also, one other thing I'd like you then to be considering, you know, if you get that work finished, which most of you should, is your next Canada in a Box panel. I know some of you have started that already. Some are already keen to do the War of 1812. I know Chase is doing that now. We've got a couple other people. That's going to be another piece that we look at very quickly. But this also might be a section that you include, so you could consider doing some reflections on the Quebec Act and the Royal Proclamation on your Canada in a Box as well. Okay, have a great day, and I will see you not until Thursday. And there'll be another instructions for Wednesday's classes coming up as well. Thank you.